Monday, September
Yeah.
17th at 6:02 p.m. Roll call of directors, please.
Barnes. Bauman. Here. Keyes.
Here.
Gorman.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Hermaning.
Here.
Kaiser.
Here.
Maple.
Yes, ma'am.
Zebro.
Yes. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda.
I would so move.
We have a motion by Mike and a second by Jessica. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 5, approval of the minutes. We have approval A, which is the regular Board of Education meeting August 20th. B, which is the special Board of Education meeting August 27th. And C, which is the annual meeting August 27th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve all 3 minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Peter.
I have,
Hold on.
question, because I wasn't at the third one, should we break A, B, and then do C separately?
Just reviewing that one anyway. we're not-
Yeah, it's just a review.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So just take the first 2.
Yep, yep. Okay, so we have a motion by Peter and a second by Mark. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, motion will carry.
Okay, there, yeah.
Item 6, the public forum. The public forum provides the public with the opportunity to ask questions about or address issues included on the school board meeting agenda. General operating rules of the public forum will be determined by the board president once the number of people wishing to speak is identified on the night of the meeting. Prior to addressing the board, please clearly state your name and address and share with the board what agenda item you are speaking to the board on. Right now, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to the board? Is there anybody that would like to speak to the board? And I'll ask a third time. All right, thank you. We will move on. Student board report. No?
No,
Yeah.
that one, yeah.
But it's in
She's at
the
Northland Pines tonight.
Yep,
so
she's volleyball,
kinda,
right?
Yeah.
Skype.
Yep, my daughter and North Pines as well, so. She has a detailed report in here, which is great. Nate and I had an opportunity to meet with her. It was a great meeting, just kind of setting everything up, so she lists some work about the Student Senate and homecoming, all in your packets. Variety show, 30 years of rewinds. FCCLA, some outreach nights, parents' nights with the YMCA and 4K outreach. Along with DECA, and exciting news with a lot of different activities. They're heading to Wisconsin Dells in October to attend the Emerging Leaders Conference. Science Olympiad, which I happen to know a lot about, will soon start recruiting students to participate with compete at UW Stevens Point February 2020, which I think is outstanding. I also had a very active Science Olympiad team that I came from. FFA, lots of information there about many different goings on with the FFA. So lots of detail there, so jump into your board report with that, a lot of great things. FFA is a great organization, very active here. National Honor Society, they'll be inviting new members, the junior and senior class soon, which is great. And M Club athletic report, the students rock. She wanted to say the students are amazing. She said rock, so I said rock. So I've been at a lot of events myself, and even in a tough game against Wausau West, the students were just amazing. You know, they lost all 3, but they were so loud, you wouldn't know that we lost all 3 straight, so that was great. So homecoming's just around the corner, so they look forward to celebrating with the community. So it's always a big time for the community and obviously for the student body. We're excited for that. I know my kids are excited for that, both of them high school kids. So.
Who's in charge of the student board report this year?
Kyla Wasalski,
Oh, okay.
and she's a part of Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't,
That
I
I
can't
said
see
I
from here.
See, I said I know. I just acknowledged it.
Okay, Okay, so moving on to item 8, consent agendas, personnel committee consent agenda.
Okay, I will offer a brief summation of the personnel committee meeting. For item 5, we have the new business, a discussion of current job vacancies in the district. We have a custodian, district mental health navigator, general education assistant in middle school, and hot lunch server. For item 5B, discussion of possible recommendation for administrative functions flow chart. You will see that in our packet. The superintendent has laid out the flow charts for us for the district, the community, and for us to better navigate an understanding of who and what falls underneath in terms of an overarching method of approval. Item 5C, discussion of possible recommendation approval of additional special education assistant position. With this particular position, it turns out to basically be a wash. This is a Mosinee student, and we were looking to, what's in your packet is the worst possible scenario, I guess, for costing. We don't know, obviously, what type of individual is gonna be into the position, but in terms of benefits and all that, whatever they're gonna take, this is just what the highest rate that they could potentially end up taking. And with 5D, discussion of possible recommendation approval of additional hours in the district business office. With that, we also had questions. This was to cover the fact that this was something that the former HR administrator was also taking on. And in the effort to make sure that finance stays with finance and HR is HR, we have an individual in food service that is currently already taking care of the financial thing and understands the system. And it only made sense to have her do this for an extra 30 minutes a week in the district office as well. 5E, discussion of possible recommendation, additional resignations, retires, or hires. We then had brought to us a position recommendation for a district mental health navigator. So we have recommended to hire up Kelsey Parkin. This is coming from a 2-year grant. The position, and you'll see on the back of that form as well. Yep, exactly, so it's up at the top here. But on the back, the salary is 68, and it's coming, the majority is coming from a 2-year, $50,000 grant. So we'll just have to do some more planning in the future in terms of funding for that. There were no additional extracurricular hires for item 5F, and for future agenda in November, we are going to be having HR, Elise is going to be doing a staffing, overall district staffing analysis to present to the board. So at this point in time, the personnel committee unanimously decided to support all of the items in new business of item number 5.
Got it.
That is our consent agenda.
Okay. Item B, finance committee consent agenda. Mike?
This evening, the finance committee, we met and we discussed the cash flow. And we added a 30% in the cash flow to have a 5% variance.
Okay. Item C, curriculum and standards consent agenda.
At the Curriculum and Standards Committee, we approved an extended field trip form. There are no changes from the prior version of this form. This is for Brittany Babick to attend a conference in Indianapolis for 3 days, and in late October, early November, and the committee voted to approve that form. And then we also heard a report on test scores for the three schools, three standardized tests that are administered for the 2018 and 19 school year. And in most of the areas, particularly when we think about the high school, most of the areas, the HRT scores are above, well, they're all above the state average, and as a matter of fact, in the GNC conference, Mosinee ACT scores are the highest of all of the schools. in our district, in our conference.
Please don't tell anybody that.
I-
We're buying conference
I was trying not
t-shirts.
to tell that part.
Yes, I know, but the kids don't know they're first, so don't tell your son that they're first.
Oh,
So we're gonna surprise them with t-shirts next week, and we're gonna have a big celebration, and when you walk in school, there'll be a big sign when you walk in that'll say Great Northern Conference Champions, ACT Champions, Class of 2020. And our goal is just
Yeah,
to
it is.
motivate the classes underneath, because we celebrate conference championships for everything else in sports, so we're gonna celebrate the ACT, because it's a big deal.
I think BMO Harris should put it on their sign when you come into town.
Yes.
Congratulations, ACT champions.
The
That's
next
in
day after
2020.
that, I'll call 'em.
I think I'll work on that.
Okay, you got that?
I got
I'll
that.
let you know when. Just don't do it yet.
Right.
Next week.
I'll do it, yeah.
Okay.
Once they get the shirts, do it the next day.
Remind me.
Wooden sign by the paper mill.
Okay.
Kafka,
Stage hand.
that's Kafka too. McDonald's.
Yeah.
Might as well get one in the roundabout while you're
They're
at
good.
it.
Good
I
idea.
think those are good. Good idea, Kevin.
Run with it.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I would seek a motion to approve.
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike and a second by Mark. Any questions?
Only question, did we decide that we were not going to have a roll call vote on the voucher list though?
That's next,
Right, we pushed that out.
to 9 and 10.
Oh, it is separated even though it's part of,
Yeah.
it's in 8B and it's in 9, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. So we had set that up last time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Being the first time we did consent agenda, so we rolled it out the way it should be.
Right. Okay, any other questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Mike, would you like to take 9 and 10?
Okay, this evening earlier, for September 17th, and this is the voucher list for a grand total of $1,417,905.69. I would so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike, is there a second? And a second by
That'll be a roll call, Amy, please.
Bauman,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Gorman,
yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hermaning,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple,
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
All yes.
Okay, for item 10, the treasurer's report dated September 10th for the month ending August 31st, 2019. I would so move to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mike and a second by Kevin.
That'd be a roll call vote, please.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hermaning,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple,
Yes.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Lewis, Gorman.
Yes.
All yes.
Okay, moving on to item 11, special presentation, discussion of the Mosinee Athletic Annual Update.
I know I talked to Casey this morning, but he did have a few
Yeah.
multiple sporting events, so
When I
something,
saw him tonight, he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it."
there was something going on. If you'd like to postpone this, or? is
Yeah, why
there-
don't we just bring it
For
back?
October?
Yeah. Think that will work any better?
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
If it doesn't, we'll just have.
day is homecoming? The best might, October 4th. October 4th.
This is after homecoming. The next board meeting will be after.
Otherwise, Nate.
Trying to think of the
David
balance.
Can do the report for him
Well-
if he reads it, or.
wow.
Well, the biggest question I had was whether how are our numbers this year compared to prior numbers in the various,
Then I can't do that.
that's really.
Well, I guess maybe everybody has this in their
Yeah.
board
Yeah,
packet,
yeah.
and you take a look at it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have some questions that you would like
Okay.
answered by the time we meet next time.
That's fine,
How's that sound?
sure.
Why don't we do this? I'll bring this back as information. I'll make sure Casey's here. I'll have an assistant principal or something at his events if something like that happens. And we'll make sure that we can give an overview of this.
Perfect.
Thank
Okay,
you.
moving on to 12, discussion, school board superintendent communications.
Yeah, I have several things linked in there. I'll zip through them. I'll only add in a couple more as it relates to the transition plan. But first off, administrative evaluations and protocols. I met with several administrators already. Not quite half, a few more to go. we're using the educator effectiveness system, which the principals are used to. They've always been traditionally used that. New this year is using the educator effectiveness system with our central office staff. So, and I'll give views of that to the board in future board meetings, what that kind of looks like. But it's very similar to what the principals have been doing on a multi-year basis. So it's very common for teachers, it's very common for principals. I worked with CISA 6 and got some templates from them. Many central office administrators are doing this around the state. So I adopted the forms and have them rolled into the system for all of our central office staff. Strategic planning update. We actually have a lot going on with that. We had a big meetings this week. I met with Nexus, myself, for almost 2 hours. And then we met with the district executive team. So we have a team of all the central office administrators, plus the 3 building leads. Long and short of it, it was a good meeting, and what we came to was setting 3 dates and putting them out there months ahead of time so that we can get commitments, start getting commitments for not only board members, because that definitely need board commitments on these dates, but also we can start getting community invitations, which I'll start building. I'll get a template, work with Nexus, and start getting a group of between 50 and 55 total community members, including board members. So teachers as well, support staff, and then members of the community from a lot of our different municipalities. So I'll be working on that outreach. That's going to be largely my work in the next several weeks, is pulling that together. All right?
Question on meeting 1 is
Yeah.
November 12th. Is that the week that parent-teacher conferences are, or is that the week after?
We looked at that date and it was not for the elementary school week.
Yeah, we moved it.
I always knew it was somewhere around
It
there.
is-
Yeah, we had all the building principals in there, so we were shifting a lot of dates.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot to Mr. Maple for helping me get through it was great to get through the mill, actually. It was awesome. Somebody who's worked in a cheese factory before, there was a lot of similar processes, so it was real exciting to get in there and have a detailed tour. So also thankful to staff. It's been a great start to the school year. So a lot of staff are just doing a great job. I've been getting around a lot of buildings. I try to get into a building a day, if not 2 buildings in a day, start and end of school. So I've been pretty active out there myself, and of course the staff are doing that as well. So it's great to see and great to be able to understand more about the district, seeing operations with students, which I think is exciting. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the start of your picnic. I was working with Paul on that, and he gave me good advice. He's like, "Munoz, I'm telling you, if it rains, it's going to be terrible down there." And he was totally right. It wasn't looking like a good call in the morning, but thank you to Paul for that, not to me. He was giving me really good advice, so I appreciate that. Next one is a lot for board members, actually. So 10 rooms are already booked for the State Education Convention. So I already have the rooms booked for that. So I'm just going to need to know, you don't have to do it tonight, but if you're interested in going to that, just let me know. Email is fine, or just tell me in person, I'll mark you down. The reason that I need to know is we need to register you. We have the rooms reserved, but we need to register you individually for it yourself. So your individual name registration for the conference. We have the hotel room set aside for that. So it's a great convention. I'll be going. Steve Kaiser will be going. Michelle Brown will be going from the administrative team, plus as many board members who would like to go. So, and if we have more than 5, obviously we'll post like we've done in previous years. Okay? Some pilots changes, a lot of staff pretty excited about it, some bus transfer changes, new refrigerator rules. I know it sounds kind of small or something like that, but it's not. Teachers are very appreciative, staff are very appreciative. Minor changes, very little financial impact, and just a couple changes that I made with the staff. Personnel committee, the flow chart. I'm pretty excited about the flow chart. Just note that I'm very open to adjustments to that. We put a lot of work into it, but is it a final document? I'm open to tweaks and adjustments that we would bring back to the board and think about it as a growing document. I wanted to get something down. It's not something that was there, but it's very important for, hey, who reports to who do I talk to, that kind of thing, who does what in the district. Number 9, I just threw in there today because they just got to me today with this email. Very thankful to the city, that's an official notice of them vacating the property behind the middle school. So they gave that to us officially, so I went to several city council meetings and extended the appreciation of the board and myself, of course, for them vacating that property, which is a pretty big deal in Mosinee because that's owned by the city. So they essentially gave it to us. We have the houses, which will be coming down. You can see pictures later in there, the shed relocation, so that we have that entire piece connected to the middle school now for green space, which is exciting. So the city was great about it. I met all the city council members the other night, so they were wonderful. Little example of some relocation we did there. Steve, not me, Steve and his crew. So that's a shed relocation. We pushed that from the property. We definitely could use that, so we pulled that onto district property and located it right there behind the building so that we can actually utilize that. So we've salvaged that as well. In the Mosinee link, which is, we're in final copy right now for print, there's some articles in the Mosinee link about 1.5 semi-truck loads that we donated to Habitat for Humanity from those houses. 1.5 truckloads, which is an amazing expense that we don't have to afford as a district. They just did it. So went out there, had some pictures with them, and it was a wonderful collaboration. It saved us money too, but Steve will report on that, when he comes back from his well-deserved vacation.
Does it become like a write-off too?
Yeah, we're looking into how all of that works. There's a lot of pieces to it. Initially, we were going to do a burn and burn it down, and then some people didn't want that to happen, so we have to go at it in a different direction. So some of it's changing, but Steve's got a good target about getting everything down before the ground freezes. So we have a plan in place. That's all that I have.
Okay. Item 13, old business, discussion and possible decision on the energy exemption surplus funds. Something that we had talked about, and again, you guys all have it here in your packet, and we had to make the decision.
Yep, and I'll put some, if you jump into your documents that you have there, a couple of the things, we have this money available because of just great budgeting, great work with Nexus Solutions, and honestly, Steve doing a great job of making sure that we come in substantially under what was previously budgeted by this board. So I just want to be really clear about that. The energy exemption checks, this is additional money. These are rebate checks, $143,000, which we already have on hand. All right, we can only use those for certain reasons, including offsetting the expense of some of the recommendations here, if that's what the board chooses to do. So 1.1 million is actually 1.1 million plus 143,000 plus a projected 35,000 more in rebate checks that are coming. So the link at the bottom, the additional Nexus pieces, which you'll see on the board up here, one of the things that we've done we've been doing this for probably 3 or 4 board meetings now, is refining this list and getting to a really refined piece that we know that we can do and we know that are absolute needs in the district. The bathroom upgrades are ADA accessible, handicap accessible, and energy efficient, so they fit under the usage of those dollars. The outdated exhaust fans, they're outdated because they're costing an enormous amount of money to run because of how old they are. To replace them, there's a substantial cost savings there. The special education tunable lighting, we talked to Mary Zimmerman about it. It is something that is desired from the special education's perspective, especially thinking about autistic students and different lighting situations that can definitely positively affect the student environment in certain situations. The elevator controls upgrade. We're close to an estimate on that. We don't think it's going to be too egregious. That's the middle school elevator. It's in bad shape. It works most of the time. We just have to make sure that it's working all of the time.
I've gotten stuck on it before.
Like I said, our recommendation is for the board to obviously discuss it and to move forward with all of these projects.
Have you ever had complaints about the bathrooms? I had more complaints about people parking in the handicap and the circle drive, and nobody ever I don't think anybody ever gets a ticket, and every time you walk by there, there's 3 cars parked in the front.
The handicap parking, that is another legitimate concern, one that came up tonight from a community member. That's our legitimate concern. It's just I can't fit that under energy exemption dollars.
No, I mean, there's people parked where they shouldn't be
Right.
parking.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
saying.
I agree that handicap accessible parking and parking in general in front of the middle school, high school, and Kresge Center is definitely on a broader capital improvement plan, like Fund 46 at our board retreat, that should be something in our capital improvement plan that we want to cover. Is, like I said, I had a community member talk to me today about handicap parking at those facilities.
So the total for these projects is just over $1 million. Do we know about what the rebate checks would be for those? Is the formula known that you spend $1 million?
We're very cautious about it because it's not an exact thing. We know we have 143,000. That's why I was cautious to put those numbers.
But the 143 does not include the rebate we would get if we did these 4 projects, correct?
Right, it's just unknown what that actually rebate is because they're changing the ratio, the percentages, how much they're gonna give back. Very similar to like a Menards type rebate.
Yeah.
Maybe they do 11% or 1% or what does it mean based on what you buy sort of thing. So
When will they solidify those numbers? Do we have a rough estimate?
the rebates,
Yes.
I would have to get back to you on that. I could talk, Nexus, I spoke to them as recently as today, but not about rebate checks, just more about broad strokes.
But-
Go ahead.
The 1.1 million does not include the 143,000. So we have
No.
1.1 plus 1.
Absolutely.
So these projects come up
That's-
less than the contingency that we have.
Right, and that's why I put those dollars in there. I wanted to be clear that I asked Michelle, and we checked with Nexus and multiple people about, wait a minute, where can we put these rebate checks? Can we move them into Fund 46? Question mark, the answer was no. That we actually have to leave them right in this line item for potential spending on these particular projects.
So we need to find if we move forward, even more projects too.
Well, that's.
We don't know
We
how much,
already have-
we don't know how much the elevator's gonna be.
Yeah, we have a question mark on the elevator.
You thought it wouldn't be that.
That's what Steve reported to me. I don't have hard numbers, so he told me they're not replacing the lift, and they're not replacing major structures, but they do wanna do the control board redo, so that we have no concerns about it. Because right now, even when I jumped in and used it, it's like, all right, it's kinda open the door open kind of thing, and you just can't have that.
Make sure you have your cell phone with you.
Right.
Okay, David, then if I hear correctly that the rebates in that, do they have to be used by a certain time?
I know that we had it, yes.
Yes, that's-
Yes, the answer is yes, but that's out in 2020, like it was October of
So
2020.
we do have a timeline
We
on
do,
it, okay.
we were double checking, we spent actually quite a bit of time with Steve before he went on his well-deserved vacation, working on those specific questions.
Okay.
Meaning, the timelines and would we even be able to come to the board if those timelines were too early? Because the amount of work that Steve and Nexus and a lot of subcontractors are gonna have to do if you in fact like this project is substantial so that they can get this done in the summer.
Right, under a timeline.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But we do have an October of this year deadline to decide whether we're going to
Yes.
return or
Yes.
pay back
Yep, Yes.
or commit the dollars.
yes.
Which is, if we didn't have all those deadlines out there, we would have more discussion and we could wait another month. So
Right.
that's why I put it up for discussion, final decision today. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
important.
I feel.
We did, yeah, I agree.
And we talked about that elevator years ago.
Right, and I do want to, Mark brought up that there have been complaints about the bathrooms. The answer is no, not to me, but when I look at the needs of the district, those needs are only going to increase over time. So if we can do that with existing dollars and existing expenses, I think we're winning long-term. Because we know those is a long-term solution.
So, people, I would need a motion to either say we're going to use this money for energy efficiency projects or pay it back.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
It's limited.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to upgrade the high school bathrooms at a cost of $624,750.
Okay.
I'll wait to comment until after, if there's a second, and then I've got some things I'll say broadly about some of the other items.
Okay. So I have a motion by Kevin, is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mark. Discussion.
So, we're going to be in the next several months, beginning and within a year, completing a strategic planning process. I'm not opposed philosophically to the idea of upgrading, of spending money on the middle school, if that's what we should be doing. But I think we as a board have to decide if that's what we're gonna do. And as we enter into a strategic planning process, I don't know if I'm gonna be on the strategic planning committee. I'm just one vote in this body. The committee and ultimately the board may decide to go in a different direction when it comes to the middle school. I mean, we have a lot of costs associated with continually needing to put money into it, to improve it, to upgrade it. I'm not advocating today that we should be for sure doing something different at the middle school. But that is the reason, however, that I've decided to not include the middle school bathroom upgrades here in my motion, just so you're aware, and so you're all aware.
And what about some of the other items that you excluded? Just curious.
I guess I don't want to make a motion that we would do item number 5 because I don't know what the cost is, the elevator controls. I mean, we could, of course, include up to a certain dollar amount. We could put that into a motion if we wanted to. But I would hate for us to be shortchanging it by $50 and then we decide we can't do it because it's not the right price. I would be willing to add the special ed lighting fixtures into my motion. So I would be willing, if Mark would be willing to allow as the seconder of the motion, I think Mark made it, right? To amend that and add that to it. But again, the whole middle school thing also includes the exhaust fans and whether we can get by for X length of period of time. You know, I know we're gonna have a discussion, I think we're gonna have a discussion on, maybe it was just for, discussion only about fund balance and cash flow. I just think that, I think it's premature to commit over $250,000 to upgrading the middle school until we've decided as a board what we're gonna do. And really, frankly, as a community, that's the purpose of the strategic plan.
The only thing I have to say to that is we have a limited time to use this money. So I hear what you're saying.
So if I can just add,
Okay,
we're gonna have a conversation about cash flow,
right.
which includes Fund 46. And I don't know where this conversation is ultimately gonna go. It may be only discussion. I don't think we're taking action today, I don't think. Is that right?
No, we're not moving any money.
Yep, so we prospectively would have the funds to do it.
I hear, do you hear what I'm saying?
I am,
too?
yes.
Yeah, this is the special
Yeah.
money that we have, that we can get, that the rebates. I just want you guys to be aware of that also. I don't know what the right answer is.
And I'm wondering, can we approve it now and then remove it as we go forward looking at our long-term?
No, I don't think we can pay
Okay.
it back
No, not pay.
after October.
not pay it back, but
Well, I don't know that. if
Decide
that's true.
not
to
to do it?
decide on it, but then just
I
approve
know
it
what you're
tonight
saying,
and then
yes.
2 months from now, we decide we're
It's
not gonna
discretionary.
do it.
Yeah.
You're talking middle school
Yes.
expenses? You think we're gonna be done with those?
I don't.
By in 2 months?
2 months, I don't know.
Not just that, I mean-
Spoke maybe on
No,
that,
no, I didn't
but-
mean it that way
Yeah.
either, Peter, I just,
I think the strategic plan is set to come to the board for final approval is tentatively in May. So we'll get the work done on the strategic plan, lock it in by the end of the school year. If we could have Michelle, maybe we can get to some answer to some of your questions. Let's say, for example, Michelle, there's $250,000 that is unspent as of November 1. What happened out of the energy exemption dollars? So
Well,
what
it depends
happens?
on what the board wants to do with that money. Maybe you don't want to spend it this year, but are you committed to either defeasing debt or moving that? The only option is two options, defease debt, three. Defease debt, spend it on energy efficiency projects, or move it to Fund 38 to pay debt.
is there a carrying cost? In other words, is there an interest rate applied to the money that we would be keeping under the exemption?
Well, you know, you saw the interest rate cost.
right.
Yeah, I mean, right now,
So it's a wash.
you know, like David had talked about, we have a certain time to spend it. Right now, we're under arbitrage, we're earning less
Yeah.
than we're paying, you know, so.
So there's, the cost of the fees is about 14,000
Mhm.
in ballpark. That number is not gonna change to the fees, but
So, I guess where I mean, I'm willing to add in the special ed project, okay? I think from the conversations we've had about the threshold or percentage of fund balance, I'm willing to take a chance that the board may be willing to change where we're sitting right now. This is not a contrived statement, it's not. But I think we buy a lot of community goodwill if we return some of the money and our overall debt load is lower, especially as we go into a strategic planning process where we may be asking the community for some things that, I mean, in the first step, where we may be asking the community to think bigger and more broadly about the way that we do things today. And so if we decided to return the $337,000, I don't particularly like the idea because of the interest rates on the defeasance. I talked about that at the last 2 meetings ago. But we would have less debt, $350,000 if we didn't include those projects. I think that would go a long way in this community towards saying that, you know what, we're good stewards of the community's money. It's just my opinion. It's where I would come down on the topic.
My question is, what would be the payback on the fans, the elevated fans in the high school or middle school? How long would that take?
Yeah, because it's a small amount,
Right.
you're saying?
Yes.
yeah, I mean, when I asked Steve about it, there's fans in both buildings that he'd want to, in the high school and the middle school, that he would want to
It's a
replace.
small amount.
So,
And only part of it would be the middle school, right?
right,
Yeah, I was wondering what that
Or you
split.
could piecemeal, yeah, just replace the high
High
school
The high
and the
school
middle
one, that's
school.
all.
And then,
Break it out.
but then, yes, how long is it gonna be to get your return on investment just because of the lesser cost of energy?
Yeah, no,
And I know, I think exactly what you're saying, Kevin, and what I'm looking at is, I think you're looking down the road at a bigger picture.
try.
I know,
We
yeah.
need to, but.
Yes, and I don't know, the only thing is do we suffer now? You know, and I shouldn't use suffer as the word, you know, should we, you know, hold back now? It's a question.
It makes
Because-
sense, because at this point, you're putting the cart before the horse, because it's an unknown, we don't know what our strategic plan is going to be.
Correct, and I do understand that, but
And Kelly, I guess my thought is, as I'm thinking even a couple of months down the road, that I think we're going to have a discussion about fund balance and prospectively shifting money into Fund 46. And at that point, we could use that money that we've already levied for and received state aid on as well. And that money's in the current pot of funds that the district owns as an asset.
Okay.
And we could prospectively use it for the middle school. So, Mark, I would be willing to amend my original motion and include the high school bathroom upgrade, the high school and middle school outdated exhaust fans,
Okay.
and the special ed tunable lighting fixtures in my original motion.
Are you fine with that?
I'm sick of that.
Okay.
Okay.
It wasn't in the original
Oh,
one,
that's
but
fine, that's fine, no, you didn't state that,
No
my
problem.
mistake.
it's okay.
And when Steve and I were putting this final list together, just to help with the end of this discussion, the 69 elevator controls upgrade, we were being opportunistic with putting it on this list, because we wanted to be, very,
No, it's on your agenda.
it's on the agenda. So if we do the Fund 46 thing, I think that's what
Right.
Mr. Harmony is alluding
It's
to.
part of it too.
That we could always pay for something like that out of 46,
Right.
in the very near future. Or just come out of fund balance to just fix it.
Right,
That's also something we could bring in November,
right.
once we know the estimates.
And bring that back on that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, the amended motion. Further discussions?
My last question is when would we anticipate, if on approval, the start of these? Would this be during the summer of next year?
Yes,
Yes.
my discussions with Steve is that we immediately, with Nexus, next week, go into planning and then locking in the summer for beginning and completing the high school upgrades.
Thank you.
Have to be completed by a specific date.
Oh, we'd want to get them completed before the start of school. So
And
we
as
shut,
part of the
no,
funding, is there a deadline?
well, October of 20
That's, so yeah.
for expenditure.
I think we should have a roll call. It's a big amount of money.
Sure. Okay. Amy?
Bauman,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hermany,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple,
Yes.
Zebro,
Yes.
all yes.
Moving on to 14, new business, discussion and possible decision, approval of the board policy 6235, fund balance revision, and there was a new sheet that was put on your table, because we added 30%. 35.
Yeah, and this is something that there's no emergent decision necessary for the board. This is more a growth out of our board retreat and trying to make sure to come full circle with discussions that we started as a group multiple months ago. So we already have Neola coming in October. So we have our policy presentation already coming. I just wanted to put this in front, considering the cash flow analysis that I know that Michelle had already done in the committee meeting. So we're very open to adjustments or suggestions. A lot of districts will set a minimum, but that doesn't mean that you can't go 30 or 35 or leave it where it is. By no means does this, any number or policy, that's not moving money. It's more setting parameters for the board and for future boards. But like I said, there's no emergent, it'd be perfectly fine to come back with this in our policy review next month, which is, we have Neola coming in already. So if 25 wants to be 30 or whatever it is, I was in personnel, I wasn't in the finance committee meeting, but
I thought I heard something mentioned on the finance.
We did, Mike and I, we had the discussion about this a little bit, and Michelle answered some of the questions. Is this verbiage coming directly from Neola then too?
I did take it from a Neola policy, so it wasn't from Neola. So this is, the verbiage is from a Neola policy from, I think, the Cedarburg School District. But like I said, this isn't emergent for decision today. I just wanted to, like I said, come full circle with, we spent so many hours together in the board retreat. This is something that we had discussed, and it will help us actually, as a board and superintendent unit, as we move forward with Fund 46 discussions in the future.
Even though we don't specifically have a fund balance now, where are we sitting though right now? Just
Michelle?
We have a projected fund balance, I don't have it up for you. I believe it's like $8.9 million, which is close to 35%. 34 to 35% fund balance, that's where we're sitting right now. It's that first graph on your chart.
Could I just ask for clarity, and I do not mean to nitpick. I don't, I just want to make sure that I'm not thinking this is something it's not. Should it be the cash balance projection rather than the cash flow projection?
Yeah, well, I had done a cash flow, and yes, I agree.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just wanted to know, is
This
that
came from a cash flow,
understood?
yes.
So it's when the flows come in and it gives you different balances?
Yes, each month.
Okay, I just wanted
Mhm.
clarity, thank
Yes.
you. Wonderful.
Do we have to go through two readings for this then, if we make the change? So we approve the first reading tonight if we add this verbiage? And then approve the second next month, or is it just the
No,
first
no,
reading?
we don't need to do that, but like I said, there's no emergent,
Okay.
we have no emergency with this. This is, it's fine to wait until when Neola's here to get their view on it. And this was just me kind of working out of our board retreat.
Sure.
So do we wanna put that on the agenda for October?
I'm happy to put it in with the Neola pieces.
So then it would be tabled for tonight.
Yeah, and we put it, bring it back in October.
Is there a motion to table?
So that if we would approve it in October, we'd have a second reading in October.
No,
No?
that wouldn't be necessary.
No, you need second readings for new policies.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I would like to get a sense about what people are thinking
Well,
from a
Mike
discussion standpoint.
and I in the finance, we like 30.
You liked the 30.
Yes.
Reasoning?
Just because we're currently at the 35,
Okay.
even though it was kind of in here with the 25, it just, I didn't want to see it go down to 25% yet. I'd
Is
like
it
to see
because the
look-
553 in December, November gets too low?
Yes.
And if something would change, it might lead us into a borrowing, short-term
Yeah.
borrowing
Right,
position?
right.
If the state would, so choose to change their time payments when they pay us, it could lead us into.
Short-term borrowing.
Right.
Okay.
I think that 435 school districts in the state would totally agree with the state being a little bit more direct about giving us the money that is ours. But I think they'll do it when they do it.
We've had it happen before.
Right.
Good to know.
So at this time, I either need a motion to move forward or table and bring it back for October.
Okay, I'll make the motion to table this till October.
Okay, so we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Mark. Any questions to table? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item B, discussion and possible decision, approval of the support staff handbook revisions. And again, that's all in your packet. Looks like there was
Yep,
just 3 of them.
I'll jump into that. That's, actually, that came up at a board meeting where we discussed this, so I definitely wanted to bring it back. I had it in my notes. I have talked to many support staff in the district, and my recommendation is to do multiple things here at minimal cost to the district, if no cost to the district. Right now, we'll start at number 1, that the accumulation of days. Every other group or number of employees can accumulate beyond 100 days, except for support staff. Just didn't seem right to me, so I'm recommending striking the part yellow under number 1 for the support staff handbook. Number 2, it's more of a dollars and cents piece in terms of how we calculate like severance pay, which, you know, comes up from time to time, but it's more of a dollars and cents calculation piece. That's more of common practice with how we do it with other employee groups. We're just trying to hey, it's fair for all groups, this is how we do it with everybody, this is how we do it with this group as well. So these are all sort of fairness things. The last piece, number 3, this is all for support staff. We're looking to change what we do under section 4.1, inclement weather days. I know one board member, I forget who brought this up, I think it was Mark. So I have talked to several support staff, and I think it's universally accepted that if this is done, it's going to be an extremely positive thing for our support staff. That allowing them to use a paid day, specifically vacation day, personal day, or sick leave day, if available, or a non-paid day, when school is closed due to inclement weather. So, so that's something that's
Are
something
they
that's
happy with that?
absolutely, absolutely. I've talked to multiple support staff, including some in this room, and and it'd be universally something, they could choose to use a vacation day, but they don't have to.
Right.
So the way that I wrote this is some would want to say, hey, I'm not going to use my vacation day, I'll take a non-paid day, save my vacation day for some other time. That sort of flexibility exists. But this is exactly what all the other groups, including administrative and teacher, we have this ability to do this. And I just want to, more of a fairness levy
Okay, I just didn't know
with other
what
groups.
they thought of it, I guess, if they're happy.
I've talked to multiple support staff about it, and specifically the inclement weather days, and that would be much appreciated.
Did we look at the days for the teachers, how many days they get off before they have to make them up? That was on that, who I talked about.
Right, I didn't get into that specifically,
Okay.
but we
Alright.
can.
But I just didn't, I know there was a discussion this last winter.
We actually talked about bringing that back possibly in October with the Neola,
Okay.
what's in the
Okay.
policies
I think it's
now.
out of their control for so long. I just
Right.
didn't know.
Okay.
Right,
I got it. We'll bring that, I'll bring that back. I'm sorry I missed that. I'll bring that
no,
back.
we did talk about, we thought we'd bring it back in October when
Okay.
Neola was here.
Got it. You're right, we did. Just in our meeting, yes.
Yes, yes.
Teacher days. I'm going to-
Okay, so any other questions? If not, I'd take a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark and a second by Jess. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry.
Yeah, I abstain.
Okay, and with one abstention. Okay, item 15, other reports, WASB.
Okay, we have a fall regional meeting, and that is on October 24th at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Wausau. That pertains to the WASB activities and planning. They're going to tactics. There is a meeting before that, what I'd like to go to where we can, strategies for tactics for attracting and retaining teachers. Also, then there is a conference November 2nd in Point, and that would be for that advocacy conference. And I can't remember what that is about, but that is on Saturday, November 2nd, and that is all, well, mostly all day event. And that's just all I have.
40 times on the 24th?
It's in the evening, there's
Yeah.
dinner. and-
Yeah,
There's a free one, right?
yeah, it's
It's like a
4:30.
recognition too, correct?
Yeah, yes, it's the record, yeah.
4:30 to 6 is like the free meeting.
And then, yeah, 5:30, I don't know where I have my hours, it's in my phone, and I didn't bring it out, so I was trying to do it by this, yeah.
Okay. CISA,
CISA report was in your packet. They had the annual meeting plus, I think there was 3 meetings that night.
okay, item 16, future agenda items. We did have Brady bring up something about the Chromebooks, which I would like you to explain to the rest of the board that's coming up.
Sure, so I just brought up to the finance committee, kind of a point of clarification, that I guess we're kind of seeking from you, I'm seeking from you. From time to time, and today happens to be one of those times, we're presented with opportunities to take advantage of savings when, I'll compare it to the iPhones, when a new model comes out and old model and they have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 of them left. So I actually got an email today to get a screaming deal. It'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of a $10,000 to $12,000 savings My question is, in the past, it's always been a $10,000 spending, an item over $10,000 comes to board approval. Well, this purchase, which is a budgeted item out of the tech budget, is gonna be in the $60,000 range. Each individual item is obviously significantly less than that, because we're buying 400 Chromebooks at $150 a piece. I guess some sort of a mechanism to have some flexibility, because this will not, in situations like this, the savings will not be around until the next board meeting comes around. And I told Diane and Mike that, this probably comes up in the tech world 3 to 4 times a year. It's a powerful spot to be, because honestly, we've done this many times before where I don't need to buy them right now, we just wait until a good deal shows up and then we can take advantage. But in situations that just fall awkwardly of when a board meeting schedule is, it's certainly, it kind of handcuffs us a little bit on that. I brought up to Diane and Mike, in some school districts, they have a policy where if it is a budgeted item, which this is, that it can be either approved by the school board president. So, I could contact the school board president and move on something like that. I just wanted some clarification, because from time to time these things do come up.
And the savings was around
It'll be somewhere around 10 to 12,000
Right,
of
and
a
then-
savings.
by getting them earlier like this, it gives them the time to get something in and roll them out. Whereas in December, it gives them that time.
It makes sense, but our current policy doesn't state that we have that latitude, correct?
That you could do it.
Or is it a matter of how you subjectively look at this, is it per item or?
That is
totality?
correct.
Right, that's
That-
correct.
yes.
Correct. So it's just coming, just a report at that time. But basically Brady can start making the calls to get the best deal, then come back and also try to sell some of the ones that we have. The last time we were able to, what did we sell the last one?
We haven't gotten the money yet. I talked to them last week about it. It'll be somewhere in the $28,000 to $30,000 range. We sold our last models back to a company for. So it's about $30 a piece we sold our old ones back for.
If I remember correctly, that policy says that the superintendent has that discretion, or they're the final authority, am I correct in that?
Our discretion up to $10,000.
Yes, but you are that person that has that authority.
Not the board president.
So what
but-
she's saying is not the board president.
Right,
Yeah,
Right.
so
right.
Right.
then if you look at it in that regard as per item versus that,
I don't like that personally. Because you could have a $2 million curriculum rewrite, and you divide it by 2,000 kids, and that's something. I'm just saying,
yep,
that would be my
yep,
comparable.
that's what I'm saying, where he's
It's
used-
just, yeah, it's just, it's now, yes, it is.
Right. But remember, these are also budgeted for.
No, I'm not objecting to us doing it. I'm just saying I don't like the interpretation personally.
Right.
That's all.
But remember, policies next month. So once you review, it'll bring back and look at.
A lot of policy
Oh.
next month.
Okay.
A lot of policies.
Other future agenda items.
Well, did we decide on that?
Well, is it really, it can't, because it's not on the agenda.
Oh, that way.
So, yeah,
No,
He
he
just
just
wanted to
brought
let
it
us-
to Diane.
right, so basically that he can start making the calls to get these.
So what I'll do is, I'll do it discretionary, and Brady can talk to me, and I'll make approvals,
I
And then
would be
come-
good with that.
and I'll come to the next finance committee meeting with anything, like we have been doing,
It's a report then.
right?
Yeah, and I truly brought it up as I just, in future items that come up, I just use today as the scenario for it, because this will come up again in 2, 3, 4 months, and, on a different item.
Correct.
It's a good point of clarification.
Okay, any other future agenda item?
Snow days, and we have school board meetings. Cancel
Yep,
the meeting
that's-
that we have.
We talked about that at our meeting with
Yes.
Kelly and Diane, that would be discretionary, that wouldn't be something, we would need to set a policy, but just communicate.
Because sometimes we're all fine by the time we get to the
Right,
board
so,
meeting, right?
so sometimes it's about communication and making sure that I'm communicating, that we're communicating. That's what we talked about.
I still have it on,
Yeah.
I still have it on my list. we're gonna bring that up. But,
This isn't really an agenda item, but I am curious about how the first couple of weeks of school have gone with the new dress code.
I'd like to.
Well, you've
Well,
been down there,
if-
what do you think?
I have been there, and I haven't heard anything, I haven't had any complaint calls.
I haven't gotten any complaints.
I haven't received any complaint calls.
Doesn't mean
and
there
I-
aren't any, I just haven't gotten.
I have been in the high school lunchroom myself, I don't know, half a dozen times or more, and.
All under control?
Every Friday I meet with my staff and we go over what are the successes of your week, what are the challenges, and I haven't heard anything about dress code yet. So,
No students have been sent home?
no.
Nobody's worn their pajamas?
He's got it.
We had one person that she changed and put a different shirt on.
So she didn't go home.
I'm still mad at you, you didn't change my
so yeah, some of the other, Kevin, I
Color
think you
code?
had one too for your love,
Connection.
love contract.
Oh, wait a minute.
Love contract.
Anyway, so that's gonna be on the list
I
for.
discussed that with Neola, and they're bringing
A proposal.
several policies.
Let's just make sure you don't word it incorrectly for the cameras, okay?
I have it.
That's all I needed.
They actually knew what I was talking about, Neola, and we had a good discussion about it. One other thing, just for board members, that I do have two examples of the pictures. We're kind of leaning this way, and this would go against just a couple of the buildings, so I think it's a great picture. We got everybody smiling, which is great.
Way to go, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
well done. Well
Mike is
done.
smiling back.
Yes.
Everybody on this one. So we're leaning this way. If you want to look at it more closely, right after the meeting, by all means, they're right here.
Got it. Okay.
And I would like to publicly acknowledge Mark for his work on the idea of something that doesn't cost the school district any money, but was a very good idea from a staff perspective on that on the inclement weather day and giving the staff options. I think that's a really, really good idea. So, great idea. Thank you.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Mike. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are adjourned.